It's time for a new video, and this week I'm welcoming Sabrina to my Liminal World. Welcome, Sabrina.
Thank you.
How are you today?
I'm good. You?
Very well, very well. I was expecting this conversation, and I'm ready to start it. I want to introduce you with few words, and I thought I will do in one way. But last night, I actually decided to do it differently. I found out that you're a great tea lover and that you know a lot about teas and how do you blend them, how you serve them. Like it's the whole culture. And for me, there is a lot of unknown in that culture. And that's the best from being an immigrant anywhere. I love that interconnections when me as a coffee lover, I'm coming from coffee culture. I'm actually learning now something new about teas and the way you serve them and the way you are, like all the customs and habits you or some other culture have related to tea. So thank you for introducing me with some teas and blends, and I hope you will be my guide in this territory.
Yeah, of course.
See?
Yeah, taste all the different tea houses.
Yes, but you know a lot. You know a lot, and I didn't know that until yesterday. So I'm ready to explore more. I will ask you to introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Sabrina. I work at a laser clinic doing beauty, hair removal, brown spots, spider veins. My background's makeup, massage, and of course tea. I did work in the tea shop, so that's how I know so much.
Yes, we met in one of the clinics here, and I really appreciate your work. I'm your client pretty much. I don't want to say every week, but we are last 2-3 years we are getting to know more each other. If we can go back to March 2020 when Victoria went into self-isolation mode, what I want to know is when did you hear about Corona?
Yeah, it's strange because I heard about it. I was actually in Slovenia visiting family in January. That's when it kind of started. It was strange being in the airport in Amsterdam and no one was wearing masks, but everyone was talking about it. And then, so that was the first start of it. Then I came home, slowly things started changing here. People became a little bit more cautious. But then end of February, I ended up going to Kelowna to visit family and go skiing. Mm-hmm. And for 3 days, I heard nothing about Corona. I totally forgot about it. Then I came home to Victoria and oh my God, everything changed.
What was your first response, if you remember, like you were on your workplace, pretty much living like an everyday life, and suddenly there are new regulations and new measures. Can you tell me more about your situation, professional in this?
Yeah, when you're working in the beauty business, the spa, medi spas, it was strange because clients started dropping, so they weren't comfortable coming in, which was fine. Then all of a sudden we had to change things. We had to get rid of a lot of the things we usually have out, just basic stuff that people touch them, like magazines. That was gone. We had to use more disposable. We were bleaching everything pretty much every 15 minutes. So yeah, no, it was quite changed. And then there was a bit of fear built up too. You could feel that. And then some customers still wanted to come in for their treatments though. And then even when some came in, there was still the uncertainty. So it was different.
Mm-hmm. But I can sense in your voice that you were pretty, what is the word? You were like, you seem not to be scared by the situation. So were you actually frightened?
Not really about because we took the precautions. My background too was massage therapy, so then you do your universal precautions. So I've worked on patients of all backgrounds, so AIDS, hepatitis, cancer. So things like that. And there's always ways to disinfect everything. So I had the medical side of it. And then even in makeup too, there's different precautions, how to clean everything, and distancing that way too. So that didn't really bother me too much because I knew we were being safe, we were taking precautions. So I was,
sorry?
I was comfortable with it, and we had our masks on, so yeah.
You see, I would actually assume that someone who was born in and raised in Canada, and Canada is pretty safe country, I would assume that, for example, you would be in this situation more frightened than people who already went through this, challenging times. So I was actually surprised to hear how you responded in very mature way. Like in one moment you were losing your job, but losing because it was locked down, so people were not coming to the clinic, but you didn't waste your time. And can you actually say more? What was like to be you in those 3 months?
It was 3 months. So yeah, I was at the spa, and then BC ended up closing all beauty businesses and medi spas, which was a good idea, of course. And then we weren't sure though about, that was before any of the EI was set up or the CERB payment. So I also used to work at Shoppers, so I knew they needed help there. So I talked to my old boss, and yeah, she let me come back there to help out, do part-time work. So yeah, then I knew I was secure. I already had a job set up. So with that, the money situation didn't bother me too much. So I was lucky, I guess. And then even working there, we had all the precautions set up. There was distancing. So and then in one sense it was nice because I got to see my friends the other day. So I didn't get the lockdown feel where you can't go out, can't do anything. Even though I was going to work, I was still around my friends and we were all joking and laughing. So
yeah, that's actually very, very good to hear, because a lot of experiences were completely different. People start backing out, they start losing the connection to their reality, they start being very anxious and fearful, whereas you actually seem to switch the gears, but still remain in good, positive, and hopeful spirit. Let's talk more about your specific situation. You were born and raised in Canada, but you actually, in your bloodstream, there is, I would say, phenomenal mix of different nations, cultures, mindsets, and beliefs.
God, yeah.
Yes, so you have a Scottish blood, German, Slovenian, Serbian, you have close relatives in South America. So in a specific way, you are related to South America as well. And in many, in peacetime, that's I would say, the most fortunate situation. But it can also be a very challenging. And right now, when we are actually experiencing a global threat, I wanted to talk with you about that. How you were dealing with the situation, but as you said, you felt safe here. But how was out there, and how did you respond to what was going on in their countries? So let's start by I will just ask you: Did you communicate with your relatives, and how did you actually communicate with them?
That's a nice thing now because, yeah, like whether it was my family in Argentina or Europe, Scotland, even just in Alberta, even I could, besides picking up the phone, I could FaceTime them. We were messaging. We all had WhatsApp or Instagram, so there was all ways that we could talk. Even with the time difference, we would FaceTime. Then even if I was watching the news and I saw something terrible happen somewhere in one of the countries, I would just call my cousin, and then he would explain the situation, or my other cousin should just send a picture of outside, and then, oh no, they're fine. So then
okay, let's talk. I want to stay more on this. Usually, if we go back 30 years back or 50 years back, our grandparents in the catastrophic times, they were writing letters, and sometimes they would wait weeks, months to get that letter back and say, oh my God, he's safe, she's safe. So they would feel relief. But then again, sending again letter was, you would be in a constant fear, either waiting for the news or sending out the news, what was going on with you. And then our parents had a TV. So in a sense, you were there, but everything what was going on were actually reported by someone else. So usually people were in a fearful mode more than ever. Like now I see what is going on, and if it's a mess, I cannot sleep. I don't know what to think. I'm even more anxious that I would be with that letter. Whereas today we have social media where, like in a split of a second, you can find out what is going on the other side of the planet. But you were in that that experience, and I want to hear what were the advantages and or disadvantages of that situation for you.
It would be advantages, because yeah, then I would be sitting there and see something on the news, or then if I was worrying about my aunt, I could just text her, and then she would say she's all right. She would call me, so it was more comfort. And then I would ask how they were doing, and just knowing that they're all right. They have water, food, toilet paper. But the nice thing too is we were all joking too, so we could all sit there and laugh about it in a group message. So I could have a group message with my cousins in South Africa or South America, and then I could have my conversation with them in Europe too, and it could be a whole group of us just all mixed, but then we're all together still. So there was still that comfort. It's all we're all safe, and then we're all talking. So
did you notice any differences in responses to this situation in one culture, another, and this one?
Yeah, it was strange. Like Argentina was so strict, and then they couldn't really leave the house. My cousin lived 10 minutes from my aunt, and she wasn't allowed to go over there. So I was worried because my aunt was home alone so much. And then in Slovenia, my cousins were doctors and nurses, and then I was worried about how they were doing. And then just by talking to them, you got some relief knowing that they're fine, they're at home too. And so then even for Slovenia too, they were so strict too. Like my cousin had to go to her mom's house, and she had to show a picture to the police just to be able to go over there. But my cousins couldn't go with her; it had to be just her. So the kids had to be locked in the house. So it was different. For here, I felt guilty almost, because at least we could still go out to the store. We didn't need a government note. We didn't have a few hours like they did somewhere. So we were still allowed to go outside for walks. I think that was what a lot of people took for granted.
Yeah, I think that in Victoria we had that sense of community wasn't I would say wasn't touched. Like you could sense that people are there for each other. And I remember, I think the lockdown has just started in March 17 when I got a message from my coworker saying, Natasha, these are the times where we have to look after each other, do a little sacrifices for the common good. And once he sent me that, I could cry. I felt such a relief. I was like, I don't need to meet anybody. Just by knowing that out there are people who think that way, like we will sacrifice because we have to be there for each other. It's a common good. I was like, whatever they ask, I will do. You know what I mean? Like in some situations or even cultures, there is a lot of struggle because there is no common, I would say, there is no common good, or we don't know. We are not on the same page. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I think we left, in Victoria anyway. So even just working at Shoppers, people were always asking if we were okay, if we were comfortable working. One day someone actually dropped off a whole bunch of Tim Hortons for us. So there was still a sense of community. And even at the spot too, people were leaving messages wanting to buy gift cards to make sure we stayed in business.
That's a very nice. That's very. Can you explain? Because in some cultures, probably some people will see this, and they're on the other side of the world. Can you, for example, give one example?
Yeah. So a few people did phone us because they wanted to make sure we'd stay in business. They liked us. They knew we were a local company, and we're a small business too. So they wanted to buy gift cards to make sure we had some kind of income coming in. They were phoning to make sure we were okay. So it was a nice thing. So it shows the community pulled together. And
Yes.
then even now too, more people are buying more. All the shops are starting to open again, so everyone's going more to the local stores to make sure those businesses are taken care of. So it's nice to see. It started off as such a terrible thing, but in the end, in Victoria, it seems everyone started to come together and really take care of the community.
I almost cried 3 weeks after we've been in lockdown because I had the birthday in my house, and usually I order a cake from one local store, and I didn't know if they're still working, so I called them. Eventually they did, and when I went to pick up the cake, they thanked me, like, thank you for supporting us, thank you for ordering, because of you we're not closing our business. And I almost cried because I didn't expect. I was like, you are doing me a favor. It's, I wasn't realizing in just those first 2-3 weeks how people were affected because I was in a safer place.
Yeah, it's for everyone that was kind of in the service industry, I guess. It was strange. No one knew how the EI was going to work at first. No one knew when we were going to reopen or what was going to happen. So for a lot of us, it was a little bit scary for the first few weeks. And then even the reopening, so many stores weren't sure if people were going to come, if people were going to call.
As you said, in Argentina, there are still not they're still in lockdown.
Yeah, from what my cousin said, it's been 140 days. So I think they're allowed to leave the house for a little while, but it's basically how our lockdown was. Where my friend was saying in Chile, right now, to leave your house, you have to text the government. They send you a note saying you can leave or not, and you only have 2 or 3 hours in the day to go. But it's all different times too, so it's not like you can just leave your house whenever for an hour. No, you have to only go at 3 o'clock in this neighborhood, or 4 o'clock that time. So where here, we're so free. We can just go whenever we want again.
And Europe is, I'm guessing, the same, like Scotland and Slovenia. It's actually the same.
Yeah, they're slowly starting to reopen now. I think Scotland's more similar to us again. Really similar to the protocols we have, and in Slovenia too, it's starting to relax more too. So,
but there is still that cloud, every day when I'm checking the news, there is still that cloud. What will actually happen now from September? Because we are approaching the school season, and now that's the main conversation out there, like whether we'll have the normal school year. How are you actually dealing with that new normal? Did you feel like you've changed in last 6 months?
I think so. I think everyone really has. Then I think people went through like a denial that it's just going to last for a little while or it's going to last forever. And then slowly you start changing your habits. Masks are more common here now. Not as much gloves though, I've noticed. So before everyone was wearing gloves, and now that's relaxed. So people seem a bit more polite too, and then they're accepting the distance. But it made me more humble. I was really grateful for everything I have now. Even when
Sorry.
Even when I have a bad day, I still think, well, I still have my apartment, I still have a job, I have food in the fridge, so it's just the little things you have to think about now. I still have my, yeah.
You start appreciating so-called small things, so-called.
Yeah.
And you know how I see that sometimes you have to be at distance, you know, when everything is so close, you don't actually see, and you don't appreciate because you don't see what you have. You take it for granted, and once you have to make that distance, and just like 2 meters away, as they say now, I was like, yes, 2 meters are sometimes enough to know what is actually around you, what are the things you love, what are you actually loving in the things around you, because
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think everyone probably did this during COVID too, is the decluttering. You look at your house and you think, why do I keep these things? Why do I buy these? Do I need this? Or even the people you talk to too online or things like that. Like, are these really your friends and family? I think that was
Exactly.
too. And then after Corona, well, here, since we've been able to go out, even just hanging out with the people you hang out with now, and then seeing how they are, how you interact, even all your friends have changed too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Even for family gatherings, it was so strange. So now we can slowly start seeing family again. And when I go to see my family that they're just 10 minutes away, at first it was so awkward because we can't really touch, or we shouldn't touch, or we shouldn't hug. But then now you just it's just normal now, where we have our distance, we're outside. So even just our normal day-to-day dinners have changed so much.
That's like what is going on underneath. Some people, I'm always surprised when I hear that people are waiting for the normal. I was like, no, we are already in that stage.
Yeah.
It's not new normal, and we're not supposed to wait until something will be removed, like Corona will disappear. No, we are already changing. We are already in a process of huge inner and outer change. And now is the time when you have to set up the new rules, regulations, new relationships, like everything is waiting to be born. So you have to like rethink what you actually want, whom you want in your life, what do you want to do. Like I am now like getting rid of this, but I'm embracing that one. I don't want to do that, but I think it's time to start this one. So we are already in that so-called new normal, but most of the people, I don't think that they're aware of that.
No, I don't think so either. Because when, like, my family and I were talking about it, and we were just all joking about all the changes that have happened in the last few months to us personally, whether it's with relationships, like, well, we became single, if we started new relationships, even meeting new friends, changing the house, painting. So I wouldn't say it's the new normal. I think it's just the new you, really. So I know right before COVID, there was so much hatred and anger because no one knew what was going on. We're acting so, I don't want to say crazy, but they were just so scared that they were doing some stupid things. And then after we went on lockdown, I think people had time to process everything. They were at home, they were safe. We had the government funds starting, so people were okay. And then slowly work started going back, things started opening up, and then now I think people are in a better place.
And it's good to be in a mode of change and still connected with your family, the ones, like the family members you love, you care for, because while you are changing, you can still reach out to them, share that change with them. That's a good thing, because we were apart, like before social media, we were apart, so they would only notice the change, but they couldn't be in the process with you. But now, as we are changing, like all of them are actually changing as well. But we can like be there for each other and be support each other while we are in that process.
Yeah, no, because even talking to my cousins, I can hear the change too with them, and yeah, it was nice because we all went through it together. So that was a comfort in one sense. Then to see the difference, to see the mind frames change. So.
Mm-hmm. Can you point out a few, as you said, mindset changes?
I think, I'm trying to think, like, I think the main one was like in Canada anyway, people who calmed down, going to the store, grocery store, people were okay waiting, which we never did before. There was lineups to get into stores. So here, my family and I were just saying things got a lot more calmer, lower. More people are talking here too, which is nice. There are more conversations I've noticed, like face to face. So there's more of the intimate connection again. And then I find with my family in South America, like they were so excited. Football is back on. That was such a deal. And
Tell me more. What is going on with football there?
Because it's such a big deal. And then football was gone, but then just watching that game just gives you some kind of hope, some like normalness to the situation. Like, oh, the game's on, so everyone will at least relax. They're gonna watch the game. My cousin was shocked we didn't have hockey back on yet. He was asking how we were living without our sports. So just little things like that. And then I never get into consideration too, like even just how much hockey is such a big deal here. So
that's a social thing. That's a social thing. Like in one situation, it's a lineup when we can interact directly. In another one, it's a stadium where we are following a team, soccer or football.
Usually in Argentina, I can hear the game on every house, on all the radios. So it is a big deal there. And then you do need it in one sense. Because even like some days when I was depressed, I'm like, I just wanted to watch football.
If you noticed any other, I'm interested to hear.
I think too, everyone's like image has changed, even at work too. Like beauty has changed so much in the last few months. I find even fashion. A few of my clients were so happy just to go get their nails and their eyelashes put back on, where others decided not to wear it anymore. People have either relaxed their dress wear down, so they don't, it's just back to being yoga clothes, or you get the opposite effect where everyone's dressing up again. They're putting high heels back on to go outside because they couldn't dress up before. So that's been interesting too.
Ah, you see, you've noticed that. Like, this is my time. I'm not losing anymore, any minute.
I think some people realize, well, some people walked out with the idea, I don't know how to word that one. People were staying at home so long, so they wanted to start feeling good. So they wanted to put the makeup on for themselves. They wanted to get dressed to show themselves off. So for other people, that was their life before that. It was just too much. So now they know they can relax. They don't have to do all that. So that balance has been interesting to see.
Interesting. I spoke with some people who finally decided to do what they love to do, or they were waiting for some, the perfect moment or something to push them. But this was like a wake-up call. No, I'm not waiting. Now I'm doing it. So it's interesting to hear that the fashion has followed that.
I think so, yeah. Yeah, even with that, I noticed it's almost like when people do their bucket list before they die, I find people are doing that kind of now too. It's like, well, I've always wanted to do this, so people are branching off, taking more courses online now. So.
And becoming, I want to believe that they're becoming kinder to each other.
I think so, yeah. Especially in Victoria, I've noticed that. People are a lot more polite, more kind, more understanding.
Do you think that nations can actually do something for each other, like how they can help each other in not just financially, like let's collect money and send, but in that emotional way. Is there any way we can actually be there for each other more than we are?
I think it was Italy that was playing the music first. I think that's when we started the pots and pans, and then that became worldwide too at 7 o'clock. So then everyone started doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And, no, I think there was things. Or when you look on the news, they talk about one country and what they were doing, then how they were low of toilet paper too, and then when we had the same problem. So I know with my family, we were all joking about it. Whether we were in different countries, we all had the same humor around it. So, and I think that was almost connection too, because at least we both understood what was going on. So I think with the different nations too, everyone had a different view of it, different. No, I think everyone just blended together, because one family member would phone me from one place, we talked. Then a different one would phone me and they'd give me a different opinion, and then they were saying how good Canada was doing, and I would tell them how good, like even with Argentina, it was terrible that they were under lockdown, but in one sense, maybe it was a good thing. So yeah, I think we can.
I hope we will. I hope we will more and more in future, because I don't know, I think we're getting out of this situation with the sense that no matter where the things happening, bad or worse, is actually in our backyard. Whether we know it or not, it's actually in front of our doors or in our backyard. So we have to be engaged. We have to, you know, be out there for each other and help in any way. I just believe that's, maybe it's too naive, but I want to believe.
No, I think so too. I think after this, because we all went through it, so at least we're all connected now with that same feeling. So whether you have a different language or background, belief system, everyone will always have the same about what happened during Corona. So we can always relate on that. So whether you meet someone from, whether it's the US, Europe, Asia, you can always talk about this Corona, and we'll have that one common thing. So
yeah, we are finally acting as one.
It's been interesting. Even talking to my cousins too with their government, and then seeing like if they were told something different than us, but then we're all told the same thing with the virus too. Nothing's changed there. So I think that was a relief too. Then it takes away in the back of your mind, it's not just Canada doing this, it's the whole world. They're getting the same information in one country, we're getting the same as them. So I think that brought us together too, knowing that it was all the same all over.
That's why we have to talk, because maybe we will come up with solutions faster than we ever did, you know?
I think
have to open up and speak and say, you know, you never know who is carrying the message someone out there needs to hear.
Exactly. Even my doctor sent me an email about things you can change, things you can't change. And just even hearing this from her side, how she's going through the same thing as me. So it was nice. Yeah, in one sense, like it's terrible, but at the same time, at least you know you're not the only one.
And what did she say?
She sent an email just saying how there's things you can't do, but you can still read, you can still watch TV, you can still call people, so you still have options of things you can do, where everyone kept thinking they can't do this, you can't do that, you're not allowed to do this, where, well, you can do that, you can call someone, you can read, you know, you can exercise at home now, so.
But it's a good reminder that, you know,
I think,
or it's good to have somebody who will either remind you or just move that focus for you.
That's what it was. So when you're having a bad day, it's nice to see like other people, like your coworker, they just send that little email that's not much, but just enough to remind you like, oh yes, people care, things will be okay.
For the end, can you tell me what has this situation taught you about your family?
I'm I was so used to seeing them all the time, like every year. I would go to Argentina, every second year, Slovenia. So for the first time in my life, I had no idea when I'll see my family again. And then it occurred to me just how close I am to them, even though they're so far away. And then made me realize, though, at the same time, I won't wait a week to call them. I'll just call them as soon as I need to talk to them. So, because you never know. I don't know if they'll be around tomorrow now, or by the end of the week, or something happens. The kids are growing up too, my nieces and nephews. So if I don't call, if I don't get pictures, I won't know in 3 years what they'll look like. So I think more now it's just realizing how close we are and how important it is to always call, make time for them, even just sending them pictures. I don't even need to send a text, just send that picture just to show, and vice versa. So. But then I also realized how strong of a family we are too. Even though everyone's so far apart, we're still living our lives, but we all still care about each other. So it was nice to see. It's humbling in one sense, but knowing all my family's there for me, it was such a comfort. Whether they were 10 minutes away or 20 hours away. So I think that was the biggest thing I took away from everything, was just knowing my family was all stable with me, they supported me. And then knowing, even though I won't see them for a long time probably, they're still there, whether it's social media, phoning, texts, but it's just knowing time is more precious now, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So, that was the main thing I think I've taken away from all of this.
Once you know that out there is someone who cares, who will be there no matter what, who will be tomorrow and the day after, you can, in a sense, hold yourself, tight and say, I will manage this. I'm not alone in this struggle. There is someone for me out there who cares, and I have to be strong right now, but I'm not alone. I'm not alone. So thank you for this conversation, and hope to see you soon.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.